Welcome everyone. This is Family Gatherings again. Here, Ginger Busby, author of Exile Within, a book about part of our journey in the foster care system. Today we're going to talk about the challenges of being a kinship caregiver, foster parent, and just kind of go over the basic requirements of a foster parent and where it gets lost in the mix in the activity as the case plan goes on and the focus is lost on everybody in there. I wanted to start out with scripture. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 5, 8 through 9, and I feel like this just describes it from the Bible, exactly how it happens. Don't be surprised if you see a poor person being oppressed by the powerful, and if justice is being miscarried throughout the land. For every official is under orders from higher up, and matters of justice get lost in red tape and bureaucracy. Even the kings milks the land for their own profits. And the reason that I say that is the child welfare system is what's in charge of running the case plan when children are taken out of their homes. And so the caregiver not only has the responsibilities and the challenges for the kiddo, they also have to communicate with a case manager, which is typically from the child welfare system. Then there's contracted, some are called FSRP people, who family restoration, I don't remember the last part of it, but what they basically do is they're the ones that are in the trenches, bring the kids back and forth for their visits with their parents, work with the parents one-on-one with different kinds of skills, whether it's jobs they need to find, get into AA meetings, helping them get city bus passes, get their license back, whatever that stuff would be. And then also to spend a little time with the kiddos, excuse me, and check in on us foster parents. So in addition to those, each kiddo has a what's called guardian ad litem. It's kind of like an attorney that represents them in court, and that person doesn't always check in with the kiddo like they should. But as foster parents, kinship caregivers, those of us that are seasoned, we know to check in with them. Then you have the therapists, BHIS workers. Those are just various kinds of providers that are initiated in the case plan to help the kiddos get over the trauma, get over some of their mental health diagnoses and stuff like that. Then maybe the psychiatrist, you have to bring them to them, which does the medication management, monitors the medication, decides what kind they want. Then of course you have the schools that you need to communicate with, and that's where I always spent a lot of my time, is going into the schools and fighting for whether they needed IEPs, 504s. For those of you that don't know, an IEP is an individualized education plan, which gives the supports that a kiddo might need to get through school. Then in the training that we're all required to have, ideally we're trying to work with the parents, the bio parents, and build a relationship with them and share with them what works for bedtime, what works for school, different things like that. So it sounds like a good system, but then when you get into the daily midst of it, you really get lost, because parents sometimes don't show up to their visits, so you got the aftermath of that, of trying to console the kiddos. Appointments that are made, no matter how hard and diligent you work to make these appointments so that you can get them to these providers and places they need to be, in addition to a lot of us are working full-time, have our own kiddos in the home, other family members and stuff. The idea of family really gets lost, and that's what concerns me, especially as kinship caregivers, because in the case plan, what the meaning of family really is the kiddos and whichever parent is working the hardest to get them back at home. Even say, like, as a grandmother, me and my husband are raising granddaughters, and they keep us out of the mix of family. Like, it doesn't matter. Well, that concerns me because we, like so many other kinship caregivers, aunties and uncles, are the strong ones, like the backbone. Like, why would you not bring in supports to keep them strong? And that's the whole idea behind family gatherings that I have. And I hope that moving forward, we can be a support to each other, talking through how to get through these hard times, because self-care is something that is so important and something that gets lost when you're dealing with all these things. I mean, sleep. I don't know how many nights I spend, my mind is just spinning on what just happened at court or a worker. These kiddos also, they destroy property sometimes when they get mad. You got to let them, like, say they're upset because a parent canceled again. You're going to get broken doors. You're going to get broken walls. And again, ideally, the department is supposed to help replace those things in that, but it doesn't. So they just tend to put a lot on you. I hope I'm making sense, but I'm going to go back to this scripture. That's why this scripture means so much to me, and I feel like it applies to all of us, because basically the department owns your life at that time. And if you're missing work, or you're missing, like I've talked about before, weddings, or say your kiddos are not able to go to their baseball game, their t-ball game, whatever, they really don't care about that. And that is what's concerning. Also, just, like your family activities I've talked about before, like we go to church and things, and a child can say no, a parent can say no, and so it just really upsets the whole balance of your family. And again, if you're not doing self-care, which is very hard to manage in there, it's easy to lose yourself. Just another reason that I feel like going back to homes, orphanages. Again, I don't like that name, but I haven't come up with a better one, to get the kids stabilized and process and working towards being able to be productive adults themselves. Because what happens is they just end up aging out, and this cycle just continues. And then you have wore out foster parents, kinship caregivers, and the system is just like a vicious cycle. Just to give you an example, I did a little research on currently today, and these are just approximate numbers of foster kiddos. Like in Illinois, there's around 16,000 kids in out of home, whether they're in foster homes or with kinship care. Minnesota, there's over 16,600 kiddos that have been removed from their home. In Pennsylvania, there is